Hello again. We are now going to find the surface area of this rectangular prism. Now, finding the surface area of any shape really comes down to one thing, and that is that we can find the surface area of a figure or object by finding the area of each side and adding them together. So basically, no matter what shape you are dealing with, you're going to find the area of all the different sides and then add them together. Now, as you can see, we are dealing here with a rectangular prism. Here we have a picture of that shape with some measurements, and then over here we have a net. We're going to use both to develop a formula which we can then use fairly easily. So, let's begin by talking about these three numbers here. These are what we call the dimensions of the rectangular prism. They give us a length, a width, and a height. Now, in reality, it doesn't matter too much which one you decide is the length, which one you decide is the height, and which one you decide is the width, as long as you keep it the same. For the purposes of this video, I'm going to decide that this 4 centimeters here, right here, is our height, which I will sometimes refer to as h. We're going to call this 7 centimeters the length, and then this 2 centimeters over here is going to be the width. Now, as is mentioned above, we are going to find the area of each side and then basically add them together. Now, the first side I'm going to start with is the front side. We're going to start with the front side. So let's go ahead and put that in here. We're going to write front. And then to find the area of the front side, it looks like that's right here. And the two dimensions that measure the front side are the height and the length. So in order to find the area, I would just multiply the length times the height. Now, what's lucky about this is, as you can tell from our net over here, the front is the exact same size as the back. So I can actually just copy down exactly what I wrote for the front. It would be the length times the height. Now, moving on, we can go ahead and let's try the top. All right. So moving on to top, which is way up here, we need to be able to find the area of that. Well, the first measurement is fairly easy because it's right there on the top, is the length. That runs all up and down one side of the top. The other side's a little trickier. It's right here, and we don't have a measurement for it, but what we do know is this right here is the same length as down here, which happens to be labeled as 2 centimeters, or the width. So the dimensions we're going to use to find the area of the top are going to be length and width. Now, just as before, where I copied the formula for back off the formula for front, I'm going to do the same with top and bottom. Length times width will also give me the dimensions, the area of the bottom. Finally, the only two sides I am left with are the right and the left, which won't be super difficult because I can see that the right will be measured by the width, and it looks like the height here, which is unlabeled, but I do know that it's 4 centimeters because that was on the other side. So we'll call it, and the left will be the height and the width as well. Once we have this formula, h plus LH plus W plus LW plus HW plus HW, it's actually easy enough to shorten it because we have 2 LHs, or 2 length times height, plus 2 length times width, plus 2 height times width. And this is because the front is the same as the back. Once we've gotten this far, it is super easy to go ahead and plug in our different measurements. For L, I'm going to put in 7. For H, I'm going to put in 4. For L, I'm going to put in 7 again. For width, I'm going to put in 2. And for H, I'm going to put in 4. For width, I'm going to put in 2. Please don't forget to use those parentheses when plugging in your values for your variables. That just makes it a little neater and a little easier to solve. Now, doing some quick mental math, I can tell that 2 times 7 times 4 is 56. I know that 2 times 7 times 2 is 28, and I know that 2 times 4 times 2 is 16. I always do those 3 pieces first because, of course, GEMDAS, we want to do all the multiplication before the addition. But once I've got that done, it's pretty easy. I can use a calculator, I can do it in my head, I can write it down. 56 plus 28 plus 16 is going to be 100. And since all of these measurements up here were in centimeters, my 100 is also going to be in centimeters. Now, it is an area measurement. And if you remember from 6th grade, area is not actually measured in linear units, it's measured in units squared. So instead of 100 centimeters, the answer here is going to be 100 centimeters squared. Excellent job with that rectangular prism. You can now flip her to the back, and you will be ready for the cylinder.